The night in Novgorod was unusually quiet, as if the silence itself had decided to pause and listen. A thin mist hovered above the ground, curling around the trunks of tall pines that formed a natural barrier around the residence. Security lights cast long, pale shadows across the wet asphalt, stretching them like fingers toward the forest. Inside the perimeter, everything appeared calm, almost ceremonial in its stillness. Yet beneath that calm ran a current of tension familiar to those tasked with guarding the most protected address in the country. At precisely 2:17, a short, sharp alarm tone sliced through the quiet. It was not loud enough to wake the entire complex, but it was unmistakable to those trained to hear it. In the command room, several officers looked up simultaneously, their movements precise and rehearsed. No one spoke at first. They didn't need to. The sound alone told them this was not a drill. Screens along the wall flickered to life, displaying radar feeds and thermal images. Small, blinking indicators appeared at the edges of the digital map, moving steadily inward. An air defense specialist leaned closer to his monitor, narrowing his eyes as if that alone could change what he was seeing. Unidentified aerial objects, he reported calmly, his voice steady but tight. Low altitude, multiple effectors. Orders followed immediately, clipped and efficient. Communication lines opened to nearby defense units, and confirmation codes were exchanged in rapid succession. Outside, unseen by the cameras for a moment, defensive systems adjusted, tracking, calculating, waiting for authorization thresholds to be crossed. The hum of electronics filled the command room, blending with the quiet breathing of the officers standing at their stations. Deep within the residence, additional security teams moved into position. Doors were checked, corridors cleared, protocols enacted down to the smallest detail. No panic showed on any face. This was the world they lived in, where preparation mattered more than emotion. Yet even among professionals, there was an unspoken awareness of the gravity of the moment. This was not a distant military installation or a border region under fire. This was the symbolic heart of power. As the objects drew closer, data streams multiplied. One officer called out changes in speed and direction, another confirmed tracking lock. The seconds stretched, thick and heavy, each one loaded with consequence. Somewhere beyond the tree line, defensive systems engaged, invisible lines of force intersecting in the dark sky. A brief flash lit the clouds, distant enough to be muffled, close enough to be unmistakable. In Moscow, far away yet intimately connected, the city slept. Apartment windows glowed softly, televisions murmured, and streets lay mostly empty under yellow streetlights. The contrast was stark, millions unaware that events were unfolding that would dominate headlines by morning. The distance between normal life and crisis had never felt thinner. Back in the command room, the first confirmation arrived. Target neutralized, came the report, followed by another, then another. The blinking indicators vanished from the screen one by one, replaced by static green zones. A collective exhale passed through the room, subtle but real. Still, no one relaxed completely. Experience had taught them that one wave could be followed by another. Minutes later, higher-level communication channels opened. Senior officials were briefed in concise summaries, stripped of speculation, grounded only in verified facts. The language was careful, deliberate. Words mattered now, not just for internal clarity, but for what would soon be said publicly. Accusations, responses, and interpretations were already taking shape in unseen rooms far beyond the residence. As dawn crept closer, the mist began to thin. The forest slowly re-emerged in sharper detail, birds stirring hesitantly as if unsure whether the night had truly ended. On the ground, investigators moved to secure debris recovered beyond the perimeter, fragments twisted and blackened, bearing silent witness to what had just occurred. Each piece was photographed, catalogued, and sealed, destined to become evidence in a much larger narrative. Inside the residence, normal routines cautiously resumed, though nothing felt entirely normal anymore. Phones vibrated with updates, analysts began assembling timelines, and spokespersons prepared statements that would soon ripple across international media. The accusation was clear, the implications enormous. What had happened in the quiet hours before dawn was no longer just a security incident. It was a message, intentional or otherwise, that would be interpreted through the harsh lens of geopolitics. By the time the sun finally broke through the trees, casting golden light over Novgorod, the night's silence felt like a memory from another world. The calm had returned on the surface, but beneath it lay questions that would not fade easily. Who had sent the objects? What line had been crossed? And what response would follow? As officials prepared to speak and the world prepared to listen, one truth was already clear. The quiet night had changed everything.